Hi, I'm Mike from Reno Propulsion Labs. Today I'm going to do a video on tools. Let me show you here my little toolbox. We're going to go through here kind of one thing at a time. I've got some larger tools that I use. We're going to kind of go over the toolbox itself. We're going to go over the different tools that I like to keep with me, carry with me. This is by no means a full list of tools that you should have or have to have. There's always room for more tools, and you can definitely get away with a lot less than this. But this is kind of what I use here in my shop. I'm going to go through, I'll pull some of the larger tools out when I use that. You can kind of see in the background I've got my tire remover. Again, totally not necessary, but it is very helpful. So first, let me kind of go over the toolbox that I use. Though this is a Walmart special toolbox. I think it's Hart brand. And basically it is just a small two-tiered toolbox. In the top here, let's see if I can get it open. I've never opened it from this side. I'm usually standing on that side when I open it. So the top here, it's got all these little containers. I use them to carry spare screws, that type of stuff. I'm kind of running low right now. If anybody out there has a place where they know that they can get the TP25 screws in bulk, please let me know. I don't think anyone's found one yet. But I've got some extra XR hub bolts in here. I've got some TP25 screws that came off other boards or were extras or came from those foot pad recalls. I've got a ton of those. I usually throw my valve stem remover up here. I've got a bunch of the Float Life valve stem caps, a couple other odds and ends down there. And then what I like about this thing, you open it up, what I really like is it's got these little legs on the back. So it's solid. You can even use this as a surface if you needed to. So you open it up here. This is kind of what it looks like on the inside. And yeah, so it's got these nice little dividers. I believe it was full of these dividers. I think they had 6 of them all the way across. I only used the 2. Could probably get away with just 1. And then I use the rest for bigger tools. So give me just a second here and I will go through kind of one at a time and show you what all I use and kind of the tools of the trade. All right, so the first thing that I use all the time is one of these little electric screwdrivers. This is a cheap Harbor Freight model. I plan on getting a better one day, but so far this thing has held up really well. It charges right down here with a proprietary, well, not a proprietary charger, but not a USB charger. It has a little flashlight on the front, on the back, and it goes forward and backwards. It's great for removing, basically I do a lot of taking down of Onewheels. That's what I do 90% of the time. So if I'm taking down a Onewheel, using one of these guys is a lot easier than just using T-handles or something along those lines. Although I do have T-handles. I've got a bunch of them in here. I carry, I'm not going to go over all the sizes because that would take all day. If you want to look up the tool sizes for your own board, there's plenty of links. There's plenty of people online that will give that information to you. But basically I use these T-handles. I keep these guys with me in my toolkit at all times. They're great because they give you a little bit extra torque if you need to torque something off that's Loctited down or something along those lines. Scooch these guys off to the side. I always carry a pair of needle nose pliers. Always have one of those in my toolkit. It's really great for reaching the motor cables. As long as you're gentle with them, you can kind of get it started a little bit like that, then reach in, pop them off. Also great for removing rocks and twigs and sticks and stuff like that get caught up under your bumper. Another thing I carry is thread locker, blue, Loctite. Absolutely have to be putting this on your screws when you put them back in. Don't use the red. The red will make your life a living hell, but I would suggest always putting this on any of your screws for your fenders, especially your bumpers, because they're going to be hitting the ground a lot. I buy these off Amazon, usually come with 2 of them. I always keep one in here and then I keep one in the garage. And then while we're on the Loctite 425 is great for plastic. So there are a few places, specifically on the Onewheel GT and pints. Actually, I don't know if the pint is plastic or not now that I think about it, but the GTs, inside the main board, the controller, or the printed circuit board. It's great to go through, and I did a whole video on this, how to apply this Loctite where Future Motion doesn't, to make sure that your screws don't back out and short your board out. But that's kind of a specific thing. Don't use it all that often. 4-in-1 screwdriver, multiple bits. You can take it out, flip it around, you got a flathead. Again, don't use them that often for the Onewheel, but I have it in there anyways. Hand sanitizer, I'm not even sure why I've got that in there, but I do. I always usually carry a couple extra screwdrivers just because they end up in here and I use them a lot. Sometimes this one specifically I use for prying. If I need to pry something, this is what I use for it, because I don't want to use a crowbar because that would be too big and overkill. I love carrying these little bags. They're little snack bags from Walmart. Or I'm sorry, they're from Winco. 100 of them, it's like $2. And they're great because if you are taking something apart and you're not going to put it right back together, these things are perfect for that. While we're on the bags, again, Harbor Freight, it's like $2. You get these things, magnetic, screws don't fall out of them. Some of the Onewheel screws are not magnetic, so they will fall out of them still. But I love these things when you're working on something. They've got a nice rubbery bottom too, so they don't really slide. You keep all your screws together. One of the ways that I will recognize if I go through a board and go, wait a minute, you know, did I miss this screw? It's because I got an extra screw in here. And if I've got an extra screw in here, then I know that I missed one. But it's great for anything. Anyone who does any type of work with their hands should probably have a couple of these. I got like 6 or 7 of them floating all over my garage. I usually keep one in my toolbox. Next, I carry one of these T-handles. I actually have a few of these guys. This is the Float Life's version. It comes in their toolkit, which I showed in my everyday carry video and backpack review. This is a T-handle. This is specifically meant for bicycles. But again, it's great. You can put whatever you want on it to get in there, twist, give you a little bit more leverage. And then I always carry just a cheap multimeter in here. I've got a nicer multimeter that I have at home, but this little cheap guy will get me through about whatever I need. Harbor Freight, it's like $5 or $10, but I absolutely love it. So I always carry one of those. And then I like to carry some basically this is like an epoxy sealant. I carry it in case something falls off of a board and we need to put it back on while we're riding. It takes a little bit of time to cure. I use it for a number of different things throughout the shop. Most people probably don't need this, but I carry it all the time anyways. Got a small screwdriver. It's a little Phillips head, just in case I need a little Phillips head. Some of the older, like the XRs and stuff, you would need a small Phillips head like this to get to the BMS. That's why I carry it. I do carry in here one large 1/2-inch socket and a TP, or I'm sorry, this is just a T45, I believe. Yeah, T45. I use this to take the hub bolts off of a GT. It's just easier than the smaller wrenches, that type of stuff that you can get from like the Float Life. This obviously is going to cost you a lot more than that, but if you're removing a lot of these like I am, it's great to have. And I always keep it in this toolkit. I use it for other things, but I mostly will use it for this. I always carry some tire irons. I have a few more down here next to me on the ground where I'm usually changing tires. But I've got these guys in here. They're the little plastic ones, so they won't burr up or damage your wheels. I always carry one of these little guys. It helps you remove the little locking nut on your foot pad, your foot pad connector. Great for those. Then I carry, again, I'm not going to go over each bit that I have in here, but I got a bunch of bits that I use. I use almost all of these bits all the time. I am a huge fan of the larger ones. This is just the Phillips head, but I've got T25s in here, all kinds of different stuff. I love these long ones because the longer ones let you get in past certain bits that are tough to get to. And they're just easier in my opinion, and they are big, so they don't get lost as easily. One other thing that I always carry in here are some desiccant packs. I find these usually at secondhand stores in big bags, like 100 of them. You can get them on Amazon. I'm sure there's other places you can order them as well. I love these things. I use them all the time. I throw them in all of my packs. I usually actually throw some in my backpack that I carry with me. They just help remove the moisture from the air, make sure that your stuff stays in good shape. Then again, we kind of talked about the top here. Sorry, that was probably a little too close for you to see. Another desiccant pack in there. But like I said, I just kind of carry extra hardware for your for the boards. Just keep them in there. Just kind of keeps everything organized a little bit. It's not perfect, but it works. So that's it for my little toolbox. Again, absolutely love that thing. Let me grab some other larger tools and kind of show you what we use those for. All right, surprise. So next, this is the tire remover. I absolutely love this thing. It's great for pulling off or breaking beads on your one-wheel tires. This one is from Craft and Ride. Some assembly was required. It's pretty straightforward. If you're changing your own tire, you should be able to put this thing together. Basically, you put the tire in here, press down on this, and it gives you the leverage you need to break the bead on the tire. It saves you a lot of time. Not necessary by any stretch of the imagination, but if you're going to be doing a lot of tires, it's nice to have. Alternatively, and these are important to have anyways, 3 pieces of wood. Everybody should have 3 pieces of wood with their one wheel if they're doing any type of work on it. The reason that I love to have the 3 pieces of wood, let me grab a tire out for you, or a hub. So here's an XR hub. You put the wood down and you're not going to bend or damage your cable. Now, the reason I've got the 3rd piece of wood is, I would usually use this one. I would get the longest piece of wood that I could find, which is this guy. If you need to break a bead and you are not going to use a tire swapper, just get this guy right here, put it up against the side, don't do it on a glass top, and stomp it down with your foot and it'll break the bead. Obviously you need to have the air out of it first, but it is great for that. Next, a couple of the other tools that I use pretty frequently. Drop these guys down. So the next thing that I use a lot is this rubber mallet. It's great for a number of different things. I like it for sometimes if you got a stubborn, like a bumper or something like that, and you're trying to get it knocked back in, you can tap it with this. You're not going to damage it because it's rubber. You have to be very gentle with it. You don't want to go overboard, but I use it quite a bit in my shop. Again, like $3 from Harbor Freight. Next, I use the DeWalt XR Series 20 volt drills. I don't use this drill too often. In fact, it's very rare. The one thing I do like about it is it's got the adjustable torque settings. So if you're putting something back in, it'll not over tighten it for you. And then last, the only other tool that I use pretty frequently is this hot air gun. Again, Harbor Freight, about 15-20 bucks. I use it for removing grip tape. There's a couple other things you can use it for. Grip tape's going to be your big thing. Usually I'll use this if I need to, a razor blade. I haven't found that that's been necessary very often. But yeah, that's about it. So if you do want a great toolkit just for on the go, I always suggest the Float Life GT and Pint and XR toolkits. They're, I think, $25 on their shop. You can get a discount at the Float Life by using coupon code Onewheel. You'll get a small discount, and then we get a kickback from that also here at the channel to help put these videos on, buy things like the tripod that I'm using to record this. So if you guys have any questions or any suggestions on tools that you like to have in your shop that you use frequently, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I do have some soldering irons, some of that type of stuff that I use also. I didn't show because you're getting a lot more advanced when it comes to that stuff. But thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you liked it, hit like. If you want to see more like this, hit subscribe. And I appreciate your time. Take care.